From random secret studios all over the Delaware Valley.
I'm the capo. He's the prez.
And this is Sons of Ben, the pod. Well, welcome back to yet another episode. I think we're on 18 of the pod, quarantine edition, week number 400.
The pod is old enough to... Well, I guess you can't buy cigarettes anymore. Maybe he's old enough to go to war. What can you do at 18 anymore?
You can vote.
That's it?
And you can go to jail as an adult.
Oh, okay. They're really rolling back the things 18 used to mean. That used to be something once upon a time now.
Yeah. Now, Adam, if you look up on your screen, you will see our special guest. All right, we've got a very, very special guest, and it's the one and only. It is a legend. Well, I say it's a legend of Philadelphia sports, a legend of Philadelphia media, a legend in the Big Five, and now a superstar on the Drunken Union Zoom happy hour every Friday at 7:30 on the Zoom channel, Mr. Jonathan Tannenwald of the Philadelphia Inquirer. So, JT, thanks for coming on, and we're starting to question your sanity for joining this.
Yeah, you should. Instructing the listeners to look up on a radio show is a really great thing to do.
Wait, it was just Adam. It was like a Hollywood Squares reference just for Adam to see.
But here's the best part. He can't even see the fact that Jonathan is clearly underneath me on my screen. Like, it's just like so obviously the only place I needed to not look was up to see Jonathan.
Your screen doesn't matter. My screen does.
Yeah, I know. Host screen,
How can I help you all this
Oh, we're trying to see.
Customer
JT does a
service.
better job keeping us in line than Devin does. I tell you, that's good. Well,
His cattle prod doesn't reach across the Delaware Valley.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah. No, we just wanted to get a little, just the ins and outs of a day in the life of you pre-COVID, covering the team, and then even just a little, your take on, the Philadelphia Union in Philadelphia sports media and the, I guess, lack of a voice, except for maybe you in the Philadelphia Inquirer are probably the only real major media voice that the Union might have, at least in my opinion, unless you count Channel 17. So just wanted to start off with your background and how you got to Philadelphia and covering Philadelphia sports.
So my background is I think a couple of your listeners probably know this. I grew up in D.C., went to a lot of D.C. United games and Washington Freedom games in high school and college. I've written about that before, so if anybody's surprised, don't be. I'm not really a fan anymore. I've lost most of my rooting interests in that regard for a while. I don't really have a favorite MLS team anymore because I watched them all. And I went to college at Penn and fell in love with the city of Philadelphia and wanted to stick around, and by some shock managed to find a job at the Inquirer when even in 2006 they were a bit scarce, and have hung on to it ever since in various forms. And I started writing about soccer for us about 2009 when Lincoln Financial Field first hosted the Gold Cup. And then, I guess there had been sort of the occasional exhibition game at the Link before that I'd helped out with. And then when the Union launched, I got my own blog to sort of supplement the limited soccer coverage that we were doing, because at the time the beat writers were also covering other sports, so I was sort of doing stuff on the side. And the Inquirer has evolved a lot over the years, and the Daily News doesn't exist anymore, and this, that, and the other thing, and various layers of internecine office politics that people may or may not know about that I don't really need to get into here. But the point is, here I am as the soccer beat writer for what we are now. And you wanted to know what my average day is like. When there is actual soccer to cover in person, which there is not going to be again for a very long time, I don't think. The team's practices are in the late morning, so I'd get down there around 10:30 to 11 o'clock, talk to a couple players. Jim Curtin talks on Wednesdays, and then I'd either write something down there or turn around and drive home and write something when I got home. And then you do that a couple days a week and then go cover a game on Saturday.
Very good, very good. Yeah, it's
I
just
like the efficiency.
the behind the scenes. I've been at one or two practices when JT's there, and even at the renaming of Subaru Park, and it's great watching Chris Albright spot JT out of the corner of his eye, and it's like, oh God, this guy's gonna hammer
Just
me with
run away.
something. He runs. It's
I
one
do
of the
want to. I do
joys.
want to. Yeah, well, I do want to add to one, and I've known Chris for a long time, and Jim too. I've known Jim since his very early days as an academy coach here, and I watched them both play, over the years in the league. You mentioned that I'm sort of the only guy, and I realize that I have the biggest hammer, and I appreciate that. But Matt DeGeorge of the Delco Times, busts his rear and has to do a whole heck of a lot more things than cover soccer for that paper because their sports section now has 3 people total or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And Matt and I are actually both members of the same labor union, which is kind of neat because even though we're competitors, we have some common cause to work on, which I appreciate. And you got Joe Tanzi of Pro Soccer USA too, who gets his share of stories and occasionally the odd scoop and so on. So
No, it's one thing because we do talk about that. Soccer isn't really covered well in major media in Philadelphia, but I think we're fortunate because we do have a lot of guys like you said, Joe Tanzi, even Kevin Kincaid, the guys at Brotherly Game, Philly Soccer Page, and then all the podcasts. There's got to be guys. How many podcasts are out there just covering the Union now? 7, 8, 10.
47,204.
So there is a need for it, but like you said, you are the big hammer in this market. But we are fortunate to have guys like that. Even people like Sean Brace trying to do something on a radio station because the other 2 stations won't talk about that. So we do appreciate not only you but those guys and trying to make this more palatable to the 9 to 5 fan in the Philadelphia market, which I got to think has got to be difficult. Just getting the ear of your editors and making sure you get enough space in the paper to cover this team and this sport.
I mean, my working theory, I don't want to go too far under the hood or get a lot of people in trouble. My working theory, and I'm fortunate to have an editor who generally agrees with this idea, is that I usually just assume that my stuff is not going in print, so I just write the stuff that needs to be written. And when it needs to go in print, people have obviously seen this by now if you see the paper. Most of what runs in print generally at this point, across the sports, the Eagles and so on, there's just sort of shorter versions of what's online. So that's what it is. And, from time to time, I'll get some really good feature like looking back at the home opener 10 years ago, or, the piece I did on the leagues taking their time to come back, which sort of gets a full run, which I appreciate. But I mean, there's right now, like in this specific moment we're in with the coronavirus pandemic, there's newspapers in the country that don't have standalone sports sections right now. Washington Post, the New York Times, and others, and it's something I think that we still have a standalone section, even if it is, and I do suspect, like anybody would suspect, that it is a psychological boost to people to see a standalone sports section in their paper in the morning. But I'm not, I'm not writing every single update on training deadlines and so on that comes along the way I would, because I'm doing other stuff right now. A lot of the sports writers, myself, Mark Narducci, Ed Barkowitz, others, have shifted over to helping the news side.
Okay.
with covering stories and angles and so on, because that's the news right now. And a lot of us, we don't mind that because we're contributing to the thing that we need to be doing as a newspaper, which is reporting on every angle of this virus pandemic and helping people get through it and asking questions and holding politicians accountable and so on. And then from time to time, giving people something else to think about for a little while as a distraction, but not making that be more important than keeping people alive.
No, true. Boy, Devin, how am I going to transition from that? Well,
I'm
You
actually
can just
excited.
go.
yeah,
The heck with the transition. You just go.
it's
All right.
pretty easy because as you know, we usually, except when we record at 10 in the morning, have the beer of the pod. So no, that's really not a
Oh,
beer.
Yeah, I
That's
just
a
woke up, so
seltzer.
I'm not
kidding.
drinking. Sorry.
No. But no, we're blessed, Jonathan, that both Yards, 2SP and Delco, and the Larimer are all friends of the pod as well as the Sons of Ben. And normally, when we do the pod in normal times where we're all in the studio together, they provide beer so we can all share a beer. So I just wanted to remind everybody out there that Yards, 2SP, the Larimer, they're all doing curbside pickup. I think Yards and 2SP and the Larimer are all doing deliveries. So just try to support local businesses during this time, if you can. That's kind of, important. So just remember those guys as, we're hoping that they'll still be around for us when we need them.
I also had a reference for beer of the pod
Oh
because
boy.
I had a beer of the pod. It's Yards Summer Catch that I'm actually
You mean Summer
going
Crush?
to drink right after or Summer Crush. I'm actually going to drink right after this pod because I have a nice nap time set up after doing a podcast for freaking 3 hours yesterday. But yeah, I had that on the Pints or Post and Pints pod that Viking Army was doing yesterday, and I shouted out Yards and the various other sponsors. So getting the amplifying their wavelengths. I'm trying to do a little bit here. That's all. Out here grinding.
And hey, Adam, that's great that you had that Yards beer on that pod because I'm actually stopping by the brewery today because I
Yeah.
need beer because I got a tea time today. Finally going to get out and hit a
Please
little
do.
golf.
Get it, young man.
Yeah. Now I think Devin had a question. Devin.
Yeah, so before we get into all the news and whatnot, I just wanted to ask Jonathan about like the current state of sports media today and how it's obviously been changing over the past 5-10 years a lot, with Twitter and breaking news and trying to be the first one to break news, especially in sports and whatnot. You want to and basically just kind of talk about what you think about the current state of everything.
I mean, the simple response to the current state of everything is subscribe to your local paper, whatever it is. Whether you're listening in Philadelphia, you obviously know what the local paper is here, or wherever you may be. Because, look, people read the New York Times and the Washington Post, and I grew up in D.C. reading the Washington Post every day, and I still do. But, somebody's got to poke a stick at City Hall or at a State House or whatever and hold them accountable, and then you try to figure out, well, I'm only going to vote in a presidential election. I'm not going to vote in anything else, which I know some people who are that way. And they can't figure out why their streets don't get plowed or their schools are bad or this, that, or the other thing. Well, be engaged at the local level, too. And your local newspaper is going to help with that. And obviously, it's also going to cover your local sports and the theater and education and transportation and all these other things. And if you care about that stuff, or if you realize belatedly that you care about that stuff, then that's the way to prove it. As for the sports media, look, I mean, we all, and I never really got the full experience of this because I've never been a full-time beat writer. But as a business, we lived high on the hog for a long time, with travel and expenses and all this other stuff. And I don't know what's going to happen when we come out of the quote unquote come out of this pandemic with a vaccine or whatnot, whether things are just going to snap back to the way they used to be. But, until then, if the sports leagues resume in Arizona or Florida or whatnot, my newspaper and a lot of other ones are going to have some very big decisions to make as to whether they're willing to risk the lives of their reporters by sending them to these sites. I really don't know. I don't think I would have been traveling down to Florida anyway if we had the money. But I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure I want to go.
I wouldn't blame you.
Well, if my boss comes to me and says, hey, you need to be there, then that's going to be one thing. I don't think he's going to say that. But, if the baseball teams go down there for a month, the basketball or whatever, and that assumes that the leagues are going to let the media in the first place, which they might not. I don't know. If you think about, if it's 600, 700 people in the NBA going to wherever they're going, plus the families is another 600. Plus, if every media member showed up, that's another 600. So how big a bubble are you willing to make it? I don't know. And then, ESPN goes or whatnot. And then they get all the scoops. I don't know.
To me, the whole thing's it feels like, and especially in this time, it would seem so. Like, to me, the idea of having a reporter in every city is, if you're ESPN, I get that in like a kind of micro, because you're going to probably have a camera in every one of those places. So you want to have maybe a live shot of that for whatever that's worth. I don't, as a consumer, I don't really see the great value in that, but I appreciate kind of the pageantry of that as a whole. But to me, in this climate, to put a reporter in that kind of harm's way, it just seems so much of an unnecessary risk, especially in a time period when we realize how much we can do remotely and how much we can do isolated and how much we can do in a way where, if you're going to put every reporter in an arena and then put every like 2 reporters in a box and separate all of them as like that or something, unless you're going to do that, it feels so contrived that we're trying all of these measures and then going to put 20 media members in a place,
Well, I'll give you, and then you got on top of that, I'm pulling up Peter King on Twitter here, who tweeted yesterday a defense of Anthony Fauci, who he had interviewed, for the Monday Morning Quarterback. He got like 4,000 replies, most of which were accusing Fauci of overblowing it, and of being a fearmonger and this, that, and the other thing. So that's the climate we're in. And, I'm supposed to stay out of politics. I'm going to do my best, but I think we can all sort of see most of what's going on here, can't we?
And it's very transparent too, and just the fact that, if we want to look at this in the most rational way possible, there's parts we can establish the fact that there's some parts of America that are like, we have 12 cases, we have 16 people roughly in the like 6 months in the 2 months prior have died from this. We can possibly manage this and have people move about their lives again. And other parts of the country are saying we have to be in such a lockdown right now that no one can move. We have to limit this as much as humanly possible. And it's like, both of these places house teams, and both of these places house fan bases, and both of these places house like league headquarters and such like that. And it just seems the disconnect between everyone in this conversation is their own personal perspective weighs so heavy on it, it's more of the micro than the macro. And it's ultimately, I understand why people want their sports back. I want all my sports back. I'm the person on here who comes here every week and tries to promote Fusion Overwatch League because I'm
Not a sport.
First off, it is a sport. Now, if you want to have another conversation, Matthew, we can have that. But it is a sport. Now, secondly, I will say this. I truly believe that I know why the people want the sports back, because sports are one of the few things that always bring us back. After 9/11, after hurricanes, after all of these natural disasters, we always looked for the moment when someone said play ball. And then we had that semblance of life back. The fact that people are clamoring for The Last Dance, the fact that UFC did those crazy numbers the past weekend, people want it, but it's just like, at what cost are you guys really willing to do this? And I understand it, but I don't understand why people aren't weighing it enough. We've seen what this can do.
Well, this is about as far as I'm going to stick my neck out. People want a distraction from things that they don't want to hear about, things that they're afraid of. And I'm the kind of person who thinks, no, you actually need to have these things be fully front and center in your life, because otherwise we're not going to attack them in the ways that we need to. And I guess I'll leave it at that. You mentioned the differences between various parts of the country. And I can bring it to soccer certainly in that regard, because I was talking yesterday to Peter Vermes, the manager of Sporting Kansas City, who is in a part of the country where it's not that big a problem relative to here. And Vermes is from Delran. He's still got lots of family over here, and he gets it. And we were talking about, hey, how do we do this when 16 of the teams in the league are able to have these individual training sessions, but 10 still are not because they are in the biggest of the coronavirus hotspots? How do we handle this? And, the whole premise is, well, we can get all the teams to Orlando for this neutral site thing and get them into a sort of as much of a bubble as we can. We can do this if there's enough testing. And I look at it and I say to myself, if you're going to try to construct a bubble, in quotes, probably putting them all up at a Disney hotel or two and having them on the field at the Disney complex is about as close as you could come up with. And you can talk about the weather and so on, yeah, but that's, if you're going to do it, that's about as close as you can do it. Sure. Because the hotels are right there. Are guys going to get stir crazy because they can't go out to the clubs? Well, yeah, sure, of course they are. But you give them a couple of hotels with good swimming pools or whatnot, and places to walk around, and you got some room to breathe. Okay.
Give them some fast passes.
I don't know if the rides are going to be open. But,
so here's the thing. I was thinking about this. If you're going to put them down in Orlando, you got to open at least a park for them, right? Like, you can't just close. Like, even if it's not Disney, like Universal, someone's got to open up for at least.
I hear you,
like,
but
a month.
that comes down to the workers, on the other side of it.
Yeah,
but
listen,
here's
you get 4 rides, just Space Mountain and the teacups, and that's it.
I'm a guy who, when and here you want to make an really old reference.
Yeah.
I'm going to make an old reference. There used to be. When I was a kid and went to Disney World, a ride called Delta Dreamflight.
Oh, I know it well.
It was totally branded, but it was sort of a history of the golden era of aviation kind of thing, and that was one of my favorites. And here I am as somebody now who has the travel bug firmly implanted in me. What do you know? Look, I think that but to get back to the point is the whole premise here is if we can do this if we have the testing. And as I've said on Twitter in the last couple of days, I hate to be that guy in asterisks, and so on. But somebody's got to ask here, hey, what if we don't? Because right now we don't. And we had said 3 weeks ago, well, if we have the testing. And we don't. And since we haven't, it's been 2 months now. Some of us might conclude that maybe we're not gonna. And therefore, somebody has to be that guy who asks, what if we don't? And it's kind of my job to be that guy.
Now, I do have 2 questions about the interaction with Vermes and the testing. One, when you talk to Peter, does the song 99 Bottles of Beer on the Wall go through your head like it does mine?
It does not, and I've never liked treating him that way.
No,
I've never liked it.
And then, I was just teasing. The testing, though, what does he think they actually have? Because he never got into that. Because not all the testing is available. Like the Abbott test is still being tested, and that's the 5-minute test.
I don't know the exact details, but they've evidently got a partnership with some kind of local firm in the Kansas City area that has access to the testing.
Okay, maybe it's the swab, and they have a lab that's speeding it up.
He said they've got the regular test and the antibody test is what he said that they are going to have access to.
That's swab, man. I've seen that swab in action. That is a no. That's a whole lot of.
Well, there's
the
one in the mouth, and then there's the brain probing one.
The brain one. It's the brain one. That one.
No.
Look,
I got bad sinuses.
I don't. Again, I can't stick my neck out too far on this, but if we were all guns blazing on getting a vaccine, maybe we'd be a little closer.
All right.
Now
let's do it.
We're talking about Kansas City and them playing.
Yeah.
Any word on when the union? I mean, I'm assuming the front office has been petitioning the governor to let them in a little bubble area of that part of Chester that's pretty isolated. Is there any?
Here's the, yeah. I don't know. I mean, obviously Delaware County is still code red,
Right.
and the city is still code red. My understanding from having talked to some people there is they don't have the clearance yet to do it, but the golf courses are open and the parks are open.
Yep.
So the question is, what is the definition of the fields at the training facility? And I don't think they have an answer yet. And look, maybe it's not the governor's, I'm sure they're not high up the governor's priority list. But at the same time, I think it is fair to note that when it comes to professional sports teams that are in the Pennsylvania cities that have some ability to resume doing things, and what the timeline of that is, in fact, the only one that has any green light to do anything has their practice facility in New Jersey, which is the Sixers. So we don't actually know what kind of a ruling the governor's office could come up with. So if you think, I mean, the only other, look, you've got the two hockey teams, and the hockey's nowhere close to coming back because it's an indoor sport. And other than that are the baseball teams. And they're obviously not going to do anything in the markets out of the gate. We know that. So the only professional sports team in the state, I guess two, the only two professional sports teams in the state that would actually be anywhere close to doing anything within the boundaries of the state, which are the Union and the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. So from that perspective, and I don't know if they've done this, I haven't asked, if they together went to the governor's office and said, hey, what are we supposed to do? Maybe that would lead the governor's office to listen a little more. But I don't believe the Riverhounds have their own training facility per se in the way that the Union do. So I don't know. But I also, to me, the only good, in quotes, good as a noun in this case, that comes from having this option available is that it gets the guys who live in apartments instead of houses out into somewhere that's a safer space to run around it.
Yeah. Sorry,
It doesn't actually do anything.
Yeah.
Otherwise.
You mentioned the Major League Baseball, and I don't know if you can touch on this or not, but and how will this affect MLS? But now Major League Baseball's agreed to, or is trying to agree to going to a shortened season, keeping it in regions, and then saying a 50-50 revenue share, which the union's balking at. How would that agreement affect the MLS, you think? Do you think the MLS is then going to do something similar, or have you heard anything that...
I've seen the 20% pay cut proposal.
Right.
I think the only way that baseball is going to affect MLS by coming back is a TV matter.
But you don't think they're going to use their plan, like look at their plan and go, oh, you know what? Just the East Coast teams are playing, and the Midwest teams and the West Coast teams, and we're going to reduce the number of games.
No, because they're going to figure that out later, and they're going to play in Orlando for a month, and they're going to, everybody's going to play everybody at some point down there, or whatever it is, who knows.
Gotcha.
They're going to figure all that out later.
Okay. Real quick, Devin, I wanted to go in a little bit of SOB news, and then we can get back into with JT about a little bit of union and a certain squad, a certain league in Germany. But everybody, reminder: the Drunken Union Zoom meeting is going to be back this Friday evening. And last week we had JT leading, giving us insight and some stories before everybody. We would let him go. Adam, the captain, came by to say hi. He had a glass of wine and had a look of utter shock and fear.
How did you get Bedoya and McKenzie to show up anyway?
I promised Mackenzie Patron, and apparently that's a very simple equation.
I invited Warren, and he was glad to come. And a couple people hit up Allie on Twitter, and he's like, "Yeah." And this week, we believe the coach is making an appearance. And we had one half of the Cooligans on there, and I think the other Cooligan I shamed into maybe showing up. So we'll see.
You had 2/3 of the Cooligans.
We had
True,
two
true,
Cooligans.
two-thirds.
Keep,
Yeah.
We keep giving Morgan the disrespect. She is totally a Cooligan.
I have never seen her on stage with them the 2 times I've seen them. That's why I keep forgetting that she's a
Behind
Cooligan.
Well,
every
because she's
good
not a regular on
man.
the show anymore, but she is part of the show.
But behind every two
and
good
you had
men.
one. You had one other celebrity who didn't quite make it. Is he going to show up at some point?
We're hoping. I believe you're talking about a guy that's bald and wears a blazer.
I don't know. He doesn't always wear a blazer. He likes tweed. I know that much.
There's a lot.
No,
So-
he's a friend of mine. Has been for quite a while, and I have not tried to exert any lobbying pressure on him because I am just a member of the peanut gallery in regards to this.
Yeah, no.
But it would be fun if he shows up at some.
Yeah,
point.
the invite's out there, and the weird thing is, out of all the people in the world, struggling for content, I don't think they are, because I think
they
he's
are not.
doing a pod a day, he's doing Zoom happy hours, and they're trying to put together, and that's why they weren't on last week. They're in final editing of a new show, and I'm not sure what it is.
You're telling me
Yeah, they
Phil
don't lack-
Martelli
they
is
don't
doing
lack for
that
content.
much? Phil Martelli's doing that much work? I'm impressed, man.
Yeah, Phil Martelli.
A bald man who
That
loves
Michigan
tweed.
squad's
I don't
not
know
keeping
what
him
you're
busy.
talking about.
Well, I don't know whether Martelli. I don't know whether you could get away with wearing tweed
I
at
think
the Breslin Center or the Palestra or so on. But yes,
No.
Phil Martelli is a very busy guy.
no.
And then we've got
yeah.
a TIFO project coming up. All I can say is we got challenged by LAFC to do a TIFO that we are planning on doing as safely as possible, thanking the frontline workers. So if you're interested in that, you can email Ryan Bross, and we are formulating a plan now of how to. We have the material, we have the paint. How do we outline that, and then have people help out at certain shifts? So if you're interested, email Brian, and then Ryan. And then the only other question I have for people that you can email us is there any interest in us producing Sons of Ben masks? If people want those, let us know. We really don't want to quote unquote profit from this, but we've gotten some requests because people are wearing Eagles masks and Union masks. So if that's something that interests you, let us know, and we will make it happen for having masks, or when you get to see Adam Booth shake his butt in Subaru Park once we're back allowed out and about.
Real quick, and especially since we're doing this this collaboration with LAFC, I was on when I was on the podcast with the Pints and Posts guys last night. They were talking about the fact that we were all kind of making peace with the fact that like the season could be done. Like it could not happen. Maybe we don't come back. Even if it comes back, that doesn't come back in the capacity a lot of us wanted. But that even they agreed that the LAFC Union game was by far game of the year already. Like they said all 5 of them stayed up randomly to watch that game and were just like blown away, was there the whole 90 minutes for it, and was just enjoying that level of soccer. And I'm like, these are Red Bull guys. Like inherently they don't care about either of these teams, and they were just like, damn, that was good soccer. So, I wanted to let it be known that we got a lot of praise. It wasn't just us smelling ourselves from that game. Other people observed that game and were like, wow, that was actually good soccer.
Yeah, that game still is a fond memory, and I remember, it's a Sunday night, and I'm like, I'll watch the first half. I go, oh no, I'm not going to bed. And I remember how happy and miserable I was Monday morning in the office. And that's really my last memory of Union soccer.
That was a painful Monday. That was a painful, but it was worth it. It was just like you felt like you just did like a marathon the day before, and you're like, my thighs hurt, but I know why. It was a good time.
Yeah, and then it's funny because we'll go back when we had Jim on the pod. It was revealed when one of the players tested positive, and we talked to Jim pre, and we even said like, we don't want to know. And he goes, well, I wouldn't tell you, and the team's not going to tell anybody because the player, doesn't want to reveal who has it, and now the player finally revealed that it was Kasper Schmilko. And I'm shocked because he was the last guy I would have thought had it, just because the amount of content he was putting out on TikTok and social media. So is TikTok stronger than COVID, and are they both from China? That's, I guess, my question. Adam, go.
Well, you got to know that was that when you are sick, what do you do in front of your parents? Like you dance, like when you're trying to get out the fact that you have a fever, you do all of the things that a non-sick person would do, which is just everything to an umpteenth degree. So he was just like, look how not sick I am by me doing break dances. It's like, I'm actually now sure Matisse Thybulle has had it for months now, based on that principle alone.
So the theory is the more active you are on social media, you're probably sick. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because you're just like, no, because you're going through it, but you don't want anyone to know you're going through it. It's like the same person who's at the Wegmans right this minute who has to cough because allergies are a real thing and is stifling it with every fiber of their being because they don't want to be that guy, you know?
And that's the reason we're not coming back to normalcy.
Right. That's the thing that's gonna take so long for people to get over is just being near other people. Like I really we will be well into having like a vaccine and all that, but me walking through Center City right now reminds me that psychologically it's gonna take people like a good couple of days to be like, oh yeah, we can like high five again. That's a thing people can do, you know?
See, you haven't been to one of the super club stores like BJ's or Jetro or Costco because people there,
I'm an intelligent
they have no
human.
idea. Huh?
No, because I'm from King of Prussia. That's all we have in that area is just large Wegmans and Costco's and all of that. And you know what I go to? Aldi. Because you know who's there? Nobody.
Yeah, walking through those stores, people have no idea sometimes. They're just like walking the wrong way in the aisle, bumping in. It's a danger zone, but anyhow.
I know you're digressing. I know we're digressing super hard, and Devin's ready to get the cattle prod, but I have to ask you, what is your everyone here, where is the furthest you've gone to get groceries since the pandemic?
Trader Joe's at Broad and Arch.
Ooh, bless your heart.
Well, I mean, really, and that's really in the meat of it. I mean, I went
Yeah.
a couple times early on up to the Fresh Grocer at Progress Plaza, but that was when I was able to get a car to go up there, and now I can't. So
The furthest I went to was Total Wines in Delaware right before they shut down
That's not a grocery
Delaware.
store, Matthew.
Bullshit, it's not a grocery store.
it is,
What's in your cupboard?
It is a provision establishment, that's for sure.
It is essential. I will say that. Devin, where's your rounds going? Because
I don't think I have any. I am actually in a pretty good spot. I have like 5 grocery stores in like a 20-mile radius
see
by
you.
me. So
I
I live out here outside of the city, you know.
You out here grinding. I respect that hustle. I've gone back to my suburban roots, and I've gone to Malvern from the city. I did that a couple of times. I've also done 1 or 2 trips out to Oaks. I will say Oaks was the winner. Like Province, Pennsylvania, right out there, Collegeville. They are actually doing a decent job with the social distancing and all that, and it wasn't too busy at theirs. So
That's actually where I live. So
yeah, boom, yeah.
Gentlemen, I have some breaking news.
Oh, breaking news!
boy.
Breaking
The
news!
fire alarm is going off in my building, so I need to depart.
It's okay. We'll filibuster super hard while you're gone.
Please
that is
do,
the
and I will rejoin you in a few minutes.
okay.
perfect,
And you're welcome to
right
include this in the show.
without a
time.
doubt.
No, totally keeping the fire alarm going off. It's like, we'll be back after these messages.
Yeah.
We'll be back after.
It's like one of those old-timey, like 1950s where it just puts up like the Native American and it's just the background and it's just like, we'll be right back.
Yeah, or play the national anthem right now and.
Ba,
All right,
ba,
well, we can
ba, ba.
actually get through a couple things before when JT gets back. So, you know,
It is time for the Adam Booth Fusion 60 seconds. And that's right. I'm happy that Devin finally dropped the imaging for everyone's favorite part of the show. The Fusion came in with another strong victory this week against everyone's favorite opponent, the Dallas Fuel. That's right, another Dallas sucks moment. And similar to how the Philadelphia Eagles dispatched them in Week 16, the Philadelphia Fusion took a 3-1 victory, taking 3 maps over 1 on the Dallas Fuel. Back to you, Matt.
Thank God that's over.
And this was brought to you by the unnamed Adam Booth Esports Podcast.
Look, Devin, here's the thing. Devin's acting like he's not going to be on this podcast with me, and it's called A&D's Fusion Hour, and that's how it's going to be.
Oh, man.
It's already I got imaging for it. It's going to be elite. Look, number
Let's
one
do it.
team in the world. What you going to do? And
Hey, I'm on board. I'm not the one hating here.
And, well, here's the thing. After this Sunday, Matt's not going to be hating because me and Matt are going to be watching the Union play this weekend together. It's going to be a lovely bonding moment. And
The
he's going to
Fusion?
Oh, yeah. So this Fusion.
You said the Union.
I know. It's a Union podcast, and I'm talking Fusion. And those Asians at the end get you every
Gotcha.
time.
In other words, it sounds like Matt's going to get a gift basket from Adam on Sunday afternoon, which will contain roofies, and then I will be propped up Weekend at Bernie's style watching this.
Well, no, you're not. It's not going to be Weekend at Bernie's. It's going to be totally Clockwork Orange, where he pulls like the eyelids back, and I start putting the eye drops in there. Yeah.
I'm gonna set up this live stream, get it all ready. We're gonna be.
Matt watches video games is going to be high-end content. I don't know if you realize
I
this.
do watch video games.
I can't wait to try to explain like you trying to explain the parts of Overwatch to Matt.
No,
But
that
they
will
shoot
be,
each other, right? Is that it?
No, yeah, exactly. Here's the thing.
Is this the one where they build forts and hide behind it, and they go to pieces?
No, it's
boy.
Fortnite.
Oh,
That is not
See, I know.
Look, you with your bamboo behind you got a Fortnite. Anyway, look, I'm telling you right now, we're gonna watch the first match, which I think is like Atlanta is playing the Paris, the Atlanta Reign is playing the Paris Eternal. I think is the prelim, and that's when I'm gonna break down the greater finer points of Overwatch.
Here's
the
a very serious question for you, Adam.
yes, sir.
Who the fuck named these teams? Don Garber from 1996? Did
All right,
1996
so-
Don
all right,
Garber
so
come
here's
back
it.
and go, I'm going to name these video games?
Okay,
These are
so
horrible
you
names.
You have no,
Atlanta
they-
Reign is a pretty good name.
I like Atlanta Reign. I'm not
What is
against
it?
that. So here's the
They
best
should have
ones
named it
though.
Purple
You have,
Rain.
Look, man, don't tempt me. If
Minneapolis
Minnesota
wants their
got a
name
team,
back.
If Minneapolis ever got an Overwatch team and they weren't called the Purple Rain, they're messing up. But here's what I got for you. I have the New York Excelsior.
Yeah.
Come on now. That's high end right there. What's that?
That's
You got the-
just making it more nerdy. You might as well just call it the New York Dungeons and Dragons Club.
I mean, all right, so
Excelsior,
you have the Shanghai,
come on.
Now you have the Shanghai Dragons. So there's that.
The Vancouver Titans.
The Seoul Dynasty.
The who dynasty?
Seoul, Korea. The
Why
city
couldn't they
of
just
Seoul,
be called the
Korea.
Soul Man? And then they could have taken the Philadelphia Souls mascot.
I'm not against that. At the same time, boo. I wasn't even going to tell you that you have the Los Angeles Gladiators because duh.
That's terrible.
And the Los Angeles Valiant because some reason they needed 2 teams.
LA always has 2 teams. They
LA
can't-
always has two. Yeah.
It was just like they needed 2 teams in the league where everyone was just playing in LA anyway, so it was weird. But
now
hey,
it cannot be a sport if LA does not have 2
Now,
teams.
Adam,
That's-
talking about LA, I'm going to transition to this. Did you realize
it.
last week the Union beat Atlanta at home? We just beat Nashville last night, and then I think we've got Kansas City this Saturday. Did you know all that was happening?
So here's the thing about the E Union.
Oh no, I'm talking. This
I'm gonna
was
call it
really happened. I fell
the
asleep and I
EU.
watched it in my head, and I saw all this happening. This wasn't video games. This was real.
The thing about the EU, and I love the EU as a functioning name for the electronic
European Union?
Yeah, exactly. I'm kind of like, I want to know what setting of difficulty Adam I'm assuming, has this on, where he's just setting the simulations. Because here's the thing. I legitimately think the Union could do all these things that they're doing in the video games because offensively they seem pretty powerful. And again, this is what I loved going on another person's podcast because you get some actual perspective. People from the outside thought the Union's offensively was a very scary team last year. People thought that team. I mean, the team did score a lot of goals, but like people thought when the Union were coming that goals were also coming as well. So it's like, could they put 4 spots on Atlanta if they were, good enough? Maybe. I don't know. Guzan's getting older. Harrison seems to score on him every single time. I'm just saying.
By the way, I just want you guys to notice, and unfortunately the listeners can't, I think me and JT have the same lamp.
Oh my God. This is
Look, shout out IKEA.
I'm about to say, IKEA is a fun place for everyone to go to. And y'all both went to the one in
says
South
you can't
Philly.
get
Act like you
content?
did it.
yeah, visual content.
The
on a-
visual content. No, on episode 25, when we finally actually put this in a stream, this is going to be fun.
Now,
We should
there was
stream
one
this.
thing because
It'd be-
JT didn't find it funny, but I got to ask you guys because you might play along. Is the testing that Peter Vermees was talking about, was that just reciting the alphabet backwards or walking heel to toe, or was that different testing? I had to get that out there. It was just,
See, here's the thing, and this is why we are still the Sons of Ben podcast, because the bants can never die. You always got to throw in a little curveball in there.
gotta throw a shot at whoever's the opposition,
Look.
no matter what. It's gotta.
Also,
Gotta get a shot.
Kansas City broke my heart, so screw them, Kansas.
And
Actual Kansas.
the funny thing is, Kansas City itself was starting to spike when this was happening. Now I don't know if it's come down. The only reason I know this is, like you guys know, my girlfriend TC, her family's from Kansas City, and
Yes.
her
Beautiful
dad.
Kansas City.
Her dad is they're in Arizona. They winter in Arizona, and they're thinking about coming back. And we're like, whoa! Why would you rush? Oh, it's not that bad. So now where Sporting KC is their complex is even further out than what Chester is. So I guess he's saying it's safe around there, but I don't see a difference between the distance where Sporting KC's complex is and the way the Union's is. I mean, I know Delaware County spiking and the city spiking, but there's like a moat surrounding the Union's complex that I still question why they wouldn't be able to start practicing at some point. That, or if they went back to 2010 Union, they could play in a public park like they used to.
But where are they housing them?
They're not. Even Kansas City's not housing people. The players, the teams that are, from my understanding, the teams that are allowed to practice, they come in their clothing. They go 4 at a time, do their training on the field, get back immediately into their car, and they leave. So
Okay,
I don't know why.
So my second question.
Yeah.
My second question is, how did Casper get it?
I mean, anybody can get it. Just going out to the store.
Listen,
and stuff.
this
Okay, so
happened-
that's my answer.
Oh yeah.
So that's my answer to that.
Well, I mean, I'm sure they would have like
But,
things
like-
in place where they're not
But
allowed
here's
to
the
leave.
thing.
True,
if they're-
but no,
if they're
but
coming
what?
to the-
How?
If they're
But
coming
like
to the
how? How do you
complex-
enforce that?
If they're coming to the complex, though,
Yeah,
you know, at least every day they're getting their temperature taken.
that's true.
Where they might
they
be,
do
this
that-
might not be. Like you
But like,
Temperature doesn't do
some
too
of
But
these
much.
here's the
guys
thing,
are
like they
20
do
years
that for
old.
the Sixers. But like they do that for the Sixers, right? Okay, so they have where Larry Nance was talking about this for Cleveland and all this, where they're just like, okay, you got only 4 of you guys can be in here at a time. We'll have 2 basketball courts. Each of you get half of a court. Only 4 of y'all can be here at a time. You get 1 rebound. One assistant coach helps you rebound and helps you with your workout. They have to have gloves and a mask on. So that's a team of 12 guys. So in the course of a day, what's that? Like you're getting in 3 sessions, possibly 2-hour sessions. You got 6 hours of practice to get just individual workouts between 12 guys, right? And that's at like a state-of-the-art practice facility. What are the Union going to do to make sure that all of these guys are safe, all of these guys get adequate time out here? Because you're not just talking about the first team. You're talking about the 25 and possibly some of the guys on U2 all needing to get work in some capacity because USL still hasn't canceled their season.
Well, keep in mind, I think this is all on outdoor training facility and maybe inside the stadium. They're not going to go inside the training complex. They're going to park their car in the parking lot, go, and the 2 practice fields and then if you need the inside Subaru Park, are plenty enough to get those guys all spaced aside. And the other thing is, think about the difference between basketball and soccer. No matter what, your hands are on that. Soccer, the ball's hitting their foot. It doesn't get passed through the cleat. So I don't know why they couldn't
Here's
go
my
safely.
thing. Here's my thing. We're gonna get into this when JT gets back, but the Bundesliga is gonna start this weekend.
Oh yeah.
If that goes bad,
Oh.
I don't think anything's happening anytime soon. Or if that goes good and leagues in Europe start starting up, obviously they said the championships come back at the beginning of June. Premier League's, doing its thing, trying to come back. If those leagues start to come back properly and everything is working there, then there's going to be a template there to look at and say this is how they're doing it and it's working. So,
But MLS's league headquarters are Midtown Manhattan,
Yep.
right? You have 4 teams currently right now in the epicenter, with at least 4 or 5 other teams in hotspots. You want to do this Orlando tournament, I get it, and I almost support that. I don't know how you get these players here in, like, if they want to do closed door home games in, like, I don't see that. I can't see that working with New York still being New York, Like, you're not, how are you going to get anyone to the Bronx? How are you going to get anyone to Harrison?
yeah.
Oh, certain
know.
teams would have to. I don't think they could play at home. I mean, that's why
Well,
I think
yeah.
you're going to go to
Yeah.
you're going to go to New York.
What is
Oh,
Red
you
Bull
mean
going to do for
practice
training?
and prepare?
Well, that's what Premier League's looking at. I
Yeah.
mean, they're looking at the same thing of playing at neutral sites, and it looks
Yeah.
like that's what they're going.
Because
to
London's
play
a
with.
shit show right now. London is
yeah,
an
exactly,
absolute
so-
garbage heap, and you have 4 teams in the capital in London, and like Shaq is just like, yeah, I might not open this place up for 5 months. Like, what do you mean? Like,
Yeah.
Adam,
Chelsea,
speaking-
Arsenal, Tottenham, they're like,
Speaking of London, I don't know if you saw this, but I think Jay Sugarman's got a template on raising money. Did you read that? I think it was the Tottenham owner broke into Dele Alli's house with knives and robbed him to get more money. Like, he just straight out like Kill Bill, like came in like knives out and goes, Dele Alli, give me some money because I'm losing money. So that's some creative thinking. Way to pivot there,
first
Tottenham
off,
owners.
you think that was the owner? That was entirely Jose. You know that was Jose.
Jose's got money, man.
No,
Marino still has money.
He did that on principle. He didn't do that because of the money. He does that because he hates Dele Alli with all of his heart.
This is correct.
It is literally. I haven't seen Jose hate someone since he hated 80% of Chelsea when he was the coach.
This is to provide the
Or-
motivation he needs to play properly. That's what it is.
Jose Mourinho cannot coach a team unless he hates 2 people who are supposed to be stars.
Oh yeah, and then he's got other players like the John Terrys of the world that love him, that are devoted to him.
Right. And look, I'm not going to say that it's always possibly the guys who are a little bit darker in the pigmentation that Jose picks on. I'm not. It just seems to have a running gag going with that. Paul Pogba. Okay, anyway,
And
over
in
here.
other
So-
breaking news, Dele Alli to Inter Miami
Right?
Yeah.
Why not?
because they
Why
don't have
not?
knives down there.
Well, but like, look, man, he'll have a lot more fun in Miami than North London right now. I could definitely freaking say that much. I'm just gonna say. On top of that, the thing that I love about, and here's the thing, I feel bad for Devin because this Tottenham situation with them not getting the NFL games has made this really perilous for them. And I'm like, oh my god, they're about to go back to a middle of the club team. Like they're about to go fledgling real quick if they can't get any, because like they can't buy anybody right now. No one wants to play for Jose Mourinho. And they're not going to be able to, like, they can't sell anyone either, because, like, who are they selling? Who are you
Devin,
giving up?
Look on the bright side. If you become a mid-level team, your fan cred in the U.S. is going to go up. You won't be
Way up.
considered a front
Way
runner
up.
like Adam and I. You'll be like,
You'll get
oh,
you'll
you're
get one of
hardcore
those
if you're at
Netflix
Tottenham.
documentaries.
You'll
You'll get a
get
Netflix
proper Tottenham.
documentary.
A solid, like a Newcastle fan. That's what.
Yo,
I
man,
don't
if
know
you're
you
a
wanna lump
Newcastle
yourself in with
fan,
those guys.
well, I have great respect for anyone who's that has painful of an existence. They're like Jets fans to me. I'm just like, good for you to just stick with that painful existence.
Do you want to be a
You
fan now? You're like, it's like Jose Mourinho just bought your team.
I've actually, that went so belly up, and I feel so bad because like Chelsea, when everyone was like, the Chelsea thing is collapsing, ha ha ha, like your owner's not allowed in the country, now you have a travel ban, or you have a transfer ban, blah blah. And I'm just like, yeah, we might actually suck this year. Like we're playing 10-year-old children. Like we have Mason Mount's shiny teeth out here trying to get us some fucking wins. And then, lo and behold, third on the table for like half the season with like a bunch of just children. And then I'm just like, and then they lift the transfer ban. And then, hey, in classic, let's just screw this up somehow, we get nobody. We lift a window up by a week or by an entire window. Like we're expecting not to get anyone until the freaking summer. They're like, no, we'll give you the winter. We'll even let you in January sign someone. And the only dude we signed, we still can't have until June anyway. So it's just like, what? And here's the thing: as an Ajax fan, I'm heartbroken, but as a Chelsea fan, I'm excited because he is the truth. But at the same time, like, what the hell, man? They opened up the window for us to literally just sell dudes. Is that what we did?
That Devin.
So one more thing before hopefully before JT gets back. Let's hear your opinion on this. This is a second share of breaking news here.
What's this?
Joe Buck has said that Fox will use fake crowd noise for games without fans.
Yeah, do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. I don't want to hear these guys
CGI
talk.
fans in then.
Do it. Do that too.
Yeah,
Do that too. I'm for that. Why not? Wait. I saw that WrestleMania that they had with no fans, and I saw the UFC last week that they had with no fans. Cool. Happy to have sports. Super freaking awkward. Lie to me.
Yeah.
Lie to me.
Yeah.
Lie to me.
I'll bring this back to the union and just why I think it might be. This is early on, and I guess we were battling, and the union were upset with the Sons of Ben for foul language. So at one point, they just said, hey, we're going to do like 60 seconds or 90 seconds and just shut up. And it was so eerily silent in the stadium to prove the point. But what was cool for that was I could actually hear the players yelling at each other where to go. So part of me is excited about watching sports on TV with no crowd, because then you can actually hear what the players say to each other, and do they edit themselves.
If you want to go see a game with no crowd, just watch U2 when they come back.
Oh boy.
And everyone, welcome back. Escaping the fire is our special guest. Now,
To the fire.
how
I'm not
does
sure
it
I'm
go
out of the
in
woods
a,
yet because the alarm is going off sporadically in the background. But I think it seems to be over with.
how do they handle a fire and social distancing at the same time?
I really didn't want to know.
Were you like George Costanza and Seinfeld at the party, just like pushing people, or no?
I went into the stairwell my building is an enormous building that has 3 fire exit stairwells in it. So I went into the one nearest me, and I stayed 6 feet away from anybody else who was in there, and stood there and waited, and the alarm finally went off, and it said all clear. So that was that. Hi, hello.
Well, welcome back. We covered a ton of stuff, but we do have something that you've become an expert in. We just wanted to talk a little Bundesliga returning, and I guess Adam and I've got a question first, and then we were going to get your recap on your coverage of that. As Philadelphia fans, should we be supporting Frankfurt because they're a sister city of the city of Philadelphia, or do we support Union Berlin because of the Philadelphia Union?
Well, you read my Bundesliga preview that went up on Friday morning. And should we take the listeners inside this and say that we're not recording? We're in fact recording on Thursday morning, so my story is not live yet, but we're pretending.
No. Yeah. No, it is not live, but it is live.
By the time you are hearing this,
Yeah.
my Bundesliga viewers guide is up on Inquirer.com, and you can read it. And I did, in fact, note in there, what are the, sort of which team should you root for if you are a Philadelphian? And Eintracht Frankfurt is one of the options. And Fortuna Dusseldorf is another one because of Zach Steffen, even though he's out injured. And Hoffenheim is the other one because there are a bunch of ties between them and the Union, including Zach Pfeffer back in the day and Ernst Tanner more recently. What else would you like to know?
What's your prediction for this league? Because as Adam always says, this is probably, in his opinion, the most competitive big professional soccer league.
Look, the prediction's always Bayern, and if I end up being wrong, I end up being wrong.
Which is usually a safe one.
Correct. As this thing gets started again, I'm pulling up the standings just right quick here.
And as you do that, I do want to say the further of hate for Red Bull in the German league is unmatched anywhere else in the world.
Correct.
They're not a fan.
Correct. Okay, so the standings as we get going here, and as the more noise is in the background, apologies to the listeners. That is the all clear signal from my building. Let's see if they actually mean it this time.
Clear signal's worse than get out of the building.
I love that.
Okay. Bayern 55 points, Dortmund 51, Leipzig 50, Mönchengladbach 49, Leverkusen 47. Please resume your normal activities, the man in the recorded message said.
Right, exactly. Unless it was sleeping, then no, you actually have to stay up.
I think Bayern is going to end up winning this thing, but I'm just as interested to see whether Tyler Adams is going to play, what Weston McKennie is going to do, and obviously whether Gio Reyna is going to continue to have a significant role for Dortmund here. And I will say this because I said it in my story. I went through and here, which team should you root for? I said, and I offered a bunch of suggestions in a bunch of different directions. And the correct answer at the end of the day is, in fact, Dortmund.
Wow. I'm here for that. As a person who follows Munich's other club, the one that's in like Bundesliga 3 that never gets out of that, I need someone at least to be rooted interest in, and I always like BVB. They interest me.
Well, I remember when 1860 Munich were in fact in the Bundesliga. It's been a long time.
It's been a long time.
So does this mean we're all going to go to Brauhaus Schmidt for a viewing party tomorrow? Oh no, we can't do that.
No, it means we're going to watch on Fox Sports 1 at home, man.
Come on, Matt. You know they haven't opened up Sal Street to everyone, just Miss Tootsie's.
Yeah, just. Well, we are definitely going to be tuning in. Adam, you're going with that team? Are we all going to be united as a pod?
Look, I can go with
This will be
BVB.
the first time.
I can go with
Because I've
BVB.
actually been following Dortmund too, so this will be the first time I think all three of us, besides obviously the Union, would actually follow the same.
Look,
team.
I was trying to get everyone on the Palermo train, but everyone didn't want to follow Serie D, I guess, whatever. So, hey, but no, I can get us. I'll be BVB. I'm here for it.
Can you watch Serie D?
No.
There you go.
Not even in Italy.
It's difficult. I'm about to say it's difficult to watch it in Italy, let alone like I have my girlfriend's brother sends me links occasionally, and I'm just like, this might destroy my hard drive. I'm pretty sure. Like I'm just like, yeah.
The hipster's choice really is Union Berlin, is it not?
I've heard that that caught on a lot. Like I love just following leagues and catching on because like I started following both the A League and the J League, the Australian League and the Japanese League, only because I just happen to be up nights sometimes, and there'd just be like, well, here on ESPN Plus, Wellington is playing like Sydney Pride, and I'm just like, okay, cool. Yep, here for it. And I just start following from there. But it's just like, I like the idea that the American soccer fan can get into a league right now, because it's basically the biggest league that's going to operate in the short term, that has a huge amount of Americans in it. And like, I'm not really privy to the reason why, but I was wondering if you like understood what the pipeline was going there, JT, because like that seemed to me really interesting to see how many prominent Americans are in Bundesliga right now.
Well, look, and I know lots of people who wish that all the Americans were in the Premier League because they're fans of English teams and or would make money from that being the case. But the simple truth is that the work permit rules in the United Kingdom make it very, very hard for Americans to get in there. Same with Spain, which is another top league. Italy hasn't really taken much interest in American players over time. The French league hasn't taken nearly as much interest in American players as it should, because that's a league where they could play and get time and develop really well and be on a springboard to bigger things. But the German league, they've always seen the potential, and they've been signing American players going all the way back to the 90s. There's a long tradition of it. Some people would like you to think that Jurgen Klinsmann started it, but in fact, it predates him by quite a bit. And I've watched the Bundesliga since the years when it was on Goal TV, back when, and even in that sort of year and a half when Goal TV still had the rights but fell off everybody's cable and satellite plans, I splurged at one point for the German satellite package on Dish Network to watch their whip around show on the weekends, even though I did not speak a word of German and still don't. I really do enjoy the Bundesliga. I have for a very long time, and we're going to find out whether they can actually do this. And I say, you're reading this on, you're listening to us on Friday morning, you're reading a story that went up on Friday morning. I did tell my editors, do not publish this thing until Friday morning, because I'm still convinced that they might pull the plug. Although we're at the point now where they probably will not pull the plug. So we would think by now that there are actually going to be games on Saturday, but it's still a risk, and we're going to find out whether it works. We're going to find out whether all the things that Germany has done when they are, leading the world in the response to the virus, we're going to find out whether it's actually been enough.
Yeah, and that's I guess the other thing, not just watching sports again, is that we want to see, will this grand experiment work, and is it going to be a blueprint for sports in North America, and trying to get a little taste of normalcy back in these times. So we're definitely going to see. Devin, should we be wrapping this up now?
Let me ask a question of Adam before I forget.
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
No, no problem.
Good.
I'm not supposed to. I'm terrible at talking over people, and I've worked enough in radio that I really do know better.
This isn't radio.
So apologies for that. A question for Adam: is it better to be an 1860 Munich fan or a Hertha Berlin fan?
Yeah. So here's the thing about this. I actually have had this exact discussion with I actually had this exact discussion, and the reason why I did this was I always tell people that most of my soccer fandom I accumulated over because my mom travels a lot. So she would go to random countries and be like, hey, she used to give me hats when I was super young. But when I got older, I was like, hey, can you get me soccer jerseys? Because I really fell in love with the game. And she started giving me jerseys from everywhere. I became a France fan because she got me a Zinedine Zidane jersey during the 2000 Euros. And I'm like, okay, yep, here it is. I'll be 100% behind this. But it's like when in 2013, me and my friends, after I graduated from St. Joe's, we did a little bit of a trip through Europe, and we got to Berlin was one of our stops. And I was going to get a jersey while I was in Berlin, and I was like, my uncle had already got me a Munich 1860 jersey. And I knew that they were just one of these teams that was kind of in the third, and they were not third, sometimes second. They might come up, but don't really get your hopes up on it. So I was like, maybe I should invest in a team that's on the top flight. And I know Hertha Berlin wasn't one of the greatest, and sometimes they even flirt with getting out themselves. But it was like, all right, totally will do this. And then I just kind of, I looked at the stats, I looked at the history, and I just thought, in my true 23-year-old hipster fashion, it's cooler to be a fan of the team that's never going to be up there than the team that's going to be up there and just going to be shit the whole time. That was my philosophy on that. So I thought, if I can just keep it to the low key fandom, and when I wear the jersey at Oktoberfest, everyone stops me in the street. So it's really cool.
I thought your philosophy was whatever jersey was on sale, you become a fan of.
No, I don't know why you would. That was my shoe philosophy once upon a time, but that was never my jersey philosophy. I'm a proud Ajax fan because I've been to Amsterdam way too many times in my life. But it's like, some of the things where I'm like, why am I a Sporting Gijón fan? They may have drafted me in FIFA one year. That might have been how I got a Spanish team. Sometimes you become an Exeter City fan some way. So, it happens.
I became a Real Sociedad fan just because I love the town of San Sebastian. So, I can't.
Look, I have, as you see behind me, the greatest color scheme in all of professional sports, the pink and black of Palermo. What you need, I'm here for it.
Well, I guess, Devin, we should be wrapping this up, right? Just in case there's another fire alarm in one of our buildings. But Jonathan, thanks a lot for stopping on. Everybody, if you don't subscribe to theinquirer.com or theoldphilly.com, I know I subscribe. I'm glad I do, even though I never get my Sunday paper. Jonathan, I'll have to talk to you about that. The guy will not deliver my Sunday paper to me. But no, thanks for
You
thanks
need
for
a new
coming
paper
on,
boy.
and we will see you on Friday night on Union Happy Hour Zoom.
I'm not sure whether I'm going to be there this week because I'm working Friday night. But
Oh no, there's a tease, guys. So you have to show up to see if we get some more JT.
That's right. Hey guys, thanks a lot for another week, and everybody stay safe out there and wash your hands.
Wash your hands.